and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I'm looking at a Lindsay Nikole video. This one is some freak-ass worms. I'm gonna say that in the weirdest way I possibly can in hopes that I don't get in trouble, because I don't know what YouTube's, like, cursing things are. Sometimes they change it, sometimes they don't. I don't know what they consider a curse word, really. So we're just gonna say it weird and hope that that covers it. I do like my Lindsay Nikole videos. It's been a lot of prehistoric stuff recently. I don't know if these are going to be prehistoric or modern or both, but I will know they are freaky. Let's begin.
Are you kidding me? Another video about worms?
I mean,
that's right,
I liked her other worm
we've been due
videos.
for another freak-ass worm video for a while, because there's a lot of freak-ass worms. If you're not
That's
familiar with worms, you probably think of them as just worms. Worms are just worms. Nothing special. But boy, are you not correct.
Okay, sorry.
There are so many worms, and so many freak-ass worms.
Why is
Worms
that one so
are
low?
everywhere. They're some of the smallest and largest animals on the planet. They live in every habitat imaginable, from deep-sea hydrothermal vents to the insides of animals as parasites, including us. And worms have evolved separately multiple times, meaning not all worms are the same kind of worm at all. So with that many
that's
worms,
really cool.
there are bound to be some that are complete and total freaks. And that is what brings us here today.
Let's go.
So buckle up. Maybe put your lunch aside for a second while I introduce you to another batch of some freak-ass worms.
I don't have any lunch.
We're gonna start off with a heavy hitter, the acorn worm.
Oh.
Such for
Looks
its
like a dick.
acorn-shaped proboscis. We all know what the fuck it looks like.
Okay,
They're found all throughout the earth
Okay, good.
to 10,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. And they generally range from like 3 to 17 inches long. Generally, the min and max are much more extreme. A mere millimeter to over 6 feet long.
Nope.
He's compensating for something.
Nope, I'm gonna say absolutely no on that one. I do not ever want to say, I mean, like, at which point do you go from a worm to a snake? Because, like, big snakes, I understand. Big worms are way more horrifying. I don't know why.
6 feet of this.
Ah!
Heinous. Acorn worms belong to the
Heinous.
phylum Hemichordata, which just so happens to be very closely related to our own phylum.
Oh, I mean, like, I'm sure it has something to do with scales and, like, worms aren't a reptile, whatever. You know, like, but I'm just like, I'm not a total idiot. I'm just, like, thinking it's, like, I don't know why a 6-foot snake, that idea does not bother me nearly as much as the idea of a 6-foot worm. Like, I've held big snakes. Like, I don't know. Maybe because worms are slimy? They're slimier? Maybe is that it?
If you're not familiar with a phylum, it's a very, very large group of animals that have a common ancestor that was alive a very, very long time ago. Our phylum is Chordata. It includes every animal with a backbone and then some. So all mammals, reptiles, birds, fish, amphibians, all bony things. Some random shit like sea squirts. Another phylum is Arthropoda. Includes all arthropods, insects, arachnids, also crabs and shrimp. The crustaceans.
Spider.
That's a lot of animals. There are many other animal phyla, Cephalopoda, mollusca, etc. There's a shit ton of animals, and so there are also a shit ton of phyla.
There's probably more than we know of,
which includes the acorn worms and also shit like this. And they are somehow more closely related to us than all of the other phyla I mentioned. So, you might be thinking, how? Well, aside from the obvious.
Don't bananas also share a lot of DNA with us? Like, there's a lot of weird shit that shares a lot of DNA with us.
Genetic evidence. There's a key similarity that our two groups have in common, and it has to do with the earliest stages of development. Boom.
Cool.
A cell. That is the product of a sperm fertilizing an egg. This teeny cell will soon become a baby, but before that, what does it need? Yes, more cells. So it starts to replicate and form a hollow ball of cells. Let's take a cross section, a little slice. You know what else it needs? Yes, holes. Specifically, a mouth and an anus.
That's a good movie.
In most animals, the mouth develops first. These animals are called protostomes, which translates to mouth first. But in some animals, the anus develops first. These are the deuterostomes, which translates to mouth second. We, chordates and hemichordates, are deuterostomes, the development of the anus first. Bonds the two groups together. There's a third group of deuterostomes, by the way, the echinoderms, which are the sea stars, sea urchins, sand, etc. I've talked about them before.
Grow up butt first?
But they're irrelevant for this moment in time. Just figured I'd mention that just in case that was confusing. But you know what that means. We are more closely related to a worm that looks like this than to the intelligent octopus. And this ancient relationship traces its origins back hundreds of millions of years to the development of a whole. So back to the modern day acorn worms, which, by the way, I want to mention, I was researching this section of the video at a cafe in public, and I felt like a freak. I actually stopped researching while I was at the cafe because I felt like I was going to get kicked out if anyone saw what I was looking at.
Yeah,
I was looking at medical pictures of a disfigured, fucked up acorn. Like, this diagram specifically, showing the anatomy of whatever the fuck they got going on. As you can see, there's a proboscis, a collar, and a trunk. That's what the fuck they got going on. It's a very simple, freak-looking worm, a certified freak-ass worm. One of the more well-known acorn worms is Yoda purpurata. Very cool name, but it looks like a medical emergency.
I like it.
They're found about 5,000 feet below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. And they're somewhere
only the
between
Atlantic?
4.5 to 7.5 inches long. And named Yoda due to their very large lateral lips, reminiscent of the ears of Yoda.
Okay.
Some of the images
scientists are all nerds. We know this. We love it.
of Yoda crawling along the ocean floor, there's some sort of trail behind them. That's shit. That's what they're all about. Acorn worms feed on sediment in search of organic particles to sort through and digest for nutrients. And then shit the rest out. Very simple creatures. Gonna be honest, I'm ready to move on from them and check out the next worm on the list.
Good, I don't
I'm
want to
gonna
think about it
introduce
more.
you to the scale worms. In a family called Polynoidae, they're like the armored tanks of the worm world. Short, flat, covered in overlapping plate-like scales called
look like teeth.
elytra. There's about 900 species, ranging from just a few millimeters.
Wow.
About the size of your hand. That's a big worm. And they're found
That's a big
everywhere
worm.
from tide pools
Not
to the
so bad.
deepest trenches and hydrothermal vents. They really fuck with hydrothermal vents. Scale worms
Me
are
too,
a
I
group
wanna
of
go to a
bristle
spa.
worms you might remember from the other worm videos I've made on this channel. Like other bristle worms,
They're so
scale
cute.
worms are segmented. They've got somewhere between 15 to 100 segments on their bodies. And on top of those segments, the scales, which can be shed and regrown.
Oh, that's
Some
really cool.
species, bioluminescent. A scale worm
Ooh,
can
I love a
roll up
bioluminescent.
when
Oh,
threatened.
look at that. That's so cool looking. It looks like a little rug. A little area rug. Like a bathroom mat. I like it.
Like a pangolin, which is very cute and makes
do
you want to
like a
protect them because they are so small
support.
and rolled up. No need to fret, they can protect themselves, and
Good
not
for them.
only with their scales. Many scale worms have symbiotic relationships with other animals, like
Oh.
Arctino. They like to live on animals like sea stars and just hang out. Don't really
Okay.
do much. They get protection and maybe eat bacteria off their backs, and occasionally create worm paths as evidence of their visit. Another one,
Interesting.
Brachypolyon.
Interesting.
These are some of the ones that really fuck with
Oh my god, it looks like a Muppet. I like it.
Thermal vents. They live inside giant vent muscles. For a long time, they
Oh.
were thought to just hang out, not impact the muscle's quality of life. But turns out this might be parasitic. Turns out the muscles get tissue damage and stunted
Oh.
growth on occasion. Freak ass parasitic worm. Most of these scale worms are predators.
no good, but
some
only on
feed
occasion.
on bacterial mats. To reproduce, they free spawn, throwing their shit out into the water and hoping that it sticks. Their heads are packed with sensory gear, antenna, palps, sometimes a couple eyes. But enough about the general
not?
shit. I'm building up to one scale worm in particular I wanted to
Okay.
show you. Feast your eyes on the Atlantic
so
scale worm,
gold.
a beast found in the waters of, you guessed it, Antarctica.
Wow, so
like their
fancy.
brethren, they're covered in scales. But their most heinous body part is their retractable mouth.
Oh.
Yes, retractable, tucked and untucked, equipped with large, sharp teeth, meant for quick and aggressive
Actually, no
hunts.
thanks.
This
I was
freak
at first I was like super shiny, love it. Bling out, baby, and now horrified.
gets to 8 inches long. And you'll notice, when shriveled up and taken outside of their deep sea dwelling, it looks like their segmented bodies are made up of human teeth. What a
Yeah, see,
heinous
that's what I said earlier. I said earlier it looked like teeth, or at least I thought it. I don't remember if I said it out loud.
coincidence. Let me show you what they look like in real life. You might like them a little more. Still images of them are very harsh. They're not very photogenic. They look a lot better on video. Hey, actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Ooh, very cool. Wow.
They look like
at
little,
those
like the
scales.
Spanish dancers
All right,
or whatever.
The next
That's
one
really
on the
cool.
list is
Like that Spanish dancer. There's like, that's a type of jellyfish or something. Oh, hi, butt. So we started with a dick and we're ending with an ass?
this. I know what you're thinking. Doesn't look like much of a worm at all. Looks like a lot of things. Definitely not a worm, but
No.
yet it is. This is Ketopterus.
Kind of like a
Pugaportus,
vajayjay,
also known
an
as the
a-hole.
pigbutt worm. And that's actually what their
Pigbutt,
species
fair
name
enough.
translates to.
That makes
Despite
sense.
their appearance, this is yet another bristle worm. Yeah, just like the scale worms and the other bristle worms from other videos.
Iridescent and
Which
pretty.
means yes, they're also segmented. You just can't tell because the middle segment's got a BBL. They sequence their DNA because this is not an obvious bristle worm at first glance. And determined
No,
they fit
it
into the
just looks
family
like a dick.
Ketopteridae,
I mean,
whose
an
relatives
asshole.
look nothing like them. This is a super twisted freak ass worm. The
Yeah.
Pigbutt worm is about the size of a hazelnut and drifts through the water column at like 3,000 to 4,000 feet.
Oh my god, you know what? It's like that robot, the mama robot, the big ass robot from the movie Robots. I'll show you if you don't know what I'm talking about. Fat ass robot. This lady. Her. That's what that reminds me of. Oh, she has a little tail? Since when? Weird. Anyway, sorry.
Below the surface of the ocean. They remain buoyant here with the help of their inflated cheeks. And this is also, of course, where they eat. The way they eat is as freak-ass as the animal itself.
Great.
Pigbutt worm creates mucus. It casts out a web of sticky snot into the water around it. A sticky, mucus net, kind of like a spider web. It traps tiny bits of organic debris called marine snow. Also, by the way, they're bioluminescent, and their mucus net glows with them for a few seconds when threatened.
That's
I feel like
actually
I've
kinda
mentioned
cool.
marine snow a few times on this channel,
It looks
but
like
never really went
dandruff.
in depth on what it actually is.
Ocean
Let's
dandruff.
get into it. Marine snow sounds very graceful, and I guess in some ways it is. What it's made up of is not. As we all know, most of life in the oceans is near the surface, where sunlight can hit. Things are growing, things are popping, life is flourishing here. Nutrients are nutrienting. Actually, if you've ever seen the movie The Platform or read the book, this is a good analogy for this. If you haven't seen it, it's this prison with hundreds of floors, and the food for the prison moves through this hole from the top to the very bottom. So at the very top, like floor 1, they get a whole banquet. Shit is great for them. They don't finish it, so whatever they don't
So
finish
are
goes to the
they
next
like
floor.
are they like the CEOs or whatever, like the rich people who go to jail?
They get to eat. Next floor, they eat their leftovers, and it keeps going, and so on. And floor 200, it is the actual trenches. They are perpetually starving. That's how nutrients in the ocean work, kinda. Life at the top, got
Gross.
plenty to choose from. Let's say a shark eats a seal. A couple of chunks fly off in the mix of it. Those chunks start to sink, start to get eaten up by some smaller fish down below.
Okay.
Smaller chunks fly off in the mix of it. And what's left is this conveyor belt of smaller and smaller chunks making their way down to the depths. And the chunks can be anything, not just seal, obviously. Any dead or decaying plants and animals, particles of shit, plankton, bacteria, literally anything that is not seawater. It's all in this conveyor belt called
Right.
marine snow. Despite being a heinous selection of bites to choose from, it is really the only reason life can survive in the deep sea in the first place. It acts as the very base of the food chain, unless you're
Okay.
near hydrothermal vents.
Right.
Or
Always an
other
exception.
deep sea oases like a whale fall. And speaking
Yeah.
of whale falls, they are exactly where you'd find the next worm on the list.
Fun.
The bone-eating snot flap,
Ugh.
also known as Osedax worms.
Oh my
Think
God.
of the bones of, you guessed it,
Whales.
that sink to the bottom of the ocean floor and create a temporary habitat for the level 200 residents. Osedax worms thrive in these habitats, using their root-like structures to infiltrate the bones. Because here's the thing about Osedax worms. They have no mouth, no gut, no anus. So these roots aren't just for anchoring. They're packed with symbiotic bacteria that they use to extract nutrients. Bacteria break down the organic
Oh,
compounds
that looks like a
trapped
little skeleton head. Ugh.
within the whale bones and provide the worms with nutrients they need to survive. And what's sick is traces of these worms have been found on fossilized whale bones from up to 30 million years ago. These
Whoa.
bitches have been around and have also probably been fucking up our fossil record of bones because they're eating them. But
How dare!
can't be mad. Obviously,
Rude.
the whale bones are much more important to them than they are to us. The last worm I was going to talk about on the list is actually disgusting. I've actually kind of decided I'm not really going to get into it. If
Aw.
you have a problem with worms past the kind of worms I've showed you so far, I suggest you leave now. I'm going to do a little Spark Notes version because it's on the list. I might as well tell
Okay.
you, but it's really just horrific to do a whole section about. I don't know what I was
Okay.
thinking adding it to the video, but
I don't
I was
either, but
looking
now
for
I'm
worms
curious.
to put in this video, and I found this article last month. A 35-year-old man in India couldn't pee.
Oh, this is the dick worm or whatever.
Turns out it's because there was a foot-long worm living in his kidney.
Oh, it's kidney.
The worm's scientific name is Dioctophyma renali. It's apparently a very rare parasite that he probably got from eating raw fish. The article also said the patient also noted that this was not the first time he had passed such a worm.
Change
I
your
added it
eating
to the
habits,
list for the
dude.
video, but I decided I actually did not want my knowledge of this worm to go any further than the Live Science article. Turns out there are some worms that are even too freak-ass for me.
I feel like I have learned about that one, and I feel like I learned about it in a Sawbones episode.
Also, I hate the recommended articles they gave me. You may like. No, I will not like. That's how we're ending this video. If you
Okay,
liked
great.
it, for some reason, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next. I've got some other worm videos that you can check out, and I won't be doing one for a little bit. The next video I'm putting out
Fair.
is arguably a lot more enjoyable. The History of Cats, Episode 3. Keep up with behind the scenes
Oh, very
content
fun.
and our Discord server
Looking
on
forward
Patreon.
to it.
And for now, stay curious. The world has a lot for us to learn. See ya!
Bye. All right. Great. That was Lindsay Nikole. Freak ass worms. And then again, like that one, like the one. I feel like I've seen something about that before, and I think it might have been a Sawbones episode. I do know for sure that there's been worm episodes in that. So I don't know. It's, a little disturbing, a little bit weird. But that is what it is. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.